So HTML5 is a work in progress. We have all of those, as I was saying, we have all of those browser vendors that are currently implementing it. And if we want to get it right, we have to make sure that they're all implementing the same way. So we don't have to deal with, when you're developing a website, with differences between existing implementation, or even versions of implementations, or even differences between devices.
We've been hearing about Facebook and HTML5. Obviously, Apple has deployed in a big way. How are those implementations going?
They are great experimentations in terms of deploying those technologies. A lot of those deployments are targeting specific devices in the mobile industry. Once you start targeting a specific user agent, you know exactly the set of modules that are already implemented. So you can rely on those sets to be able to deploy and improve the user experience. But what we're trying to do is to make sure that this experience is shared across all browsers and across all devices. And that's where the difficulty in terms of standardization comes into.
How will a standardization be created and when might that happen?
So there is a big, as I said, there is a big feedback loop. And certainly all of the browser vendors are involved in W3C to standardize HTML5 in the various groups that we have. We also encourage the community to give us feedback as much as possible. All our specifications are available to the public, and we make them as early as possible. We are also pushing for the testing effort. Not only we want to develop the specification itself, but we want to check that the implementation of HTML5 are following the specification, and then decide whether the implementations are faulty and needs to be updated, or whether the specification is lacking some aspects and needs to be adjusted as well. So for HTML5, we have a testing task force which is already trying to test HTML5 as we speak, but it's very early on right now. The number of tests that we have around HTML5 is very limited, and we're trying to increase that number drastically.
How would you characterize the state of HTML5 in its commercial use right now?
Again, it depends on which sector you're going to look into. In the mobile space, I would say that HTML5 is getting well deployed because devices on the mobile are more prone to support HTML5 already. And there is, I would say, less fragmentation. On the other hand, on the desktop, we do not have the same rate of deployment. Not all of the user agents rather currently are able to support HTML5, and so this is going to take more time to have a wider deployment. But one of the great things about HTML5 is it has built-in fallback mechanism, so that while you can show, for example, an HTML5 video today, and websites are doing that like Wikipedia, they also have fallback mechanisms so that if your user agent does not support HTML5 video, you can still see the video content using more classic approaches.
Philippe, we read a little piece in the New York Times a couple days ago about security issues around HTML5, and could you address that?
HTML5 is a great platform for development. We are expanding the number of use cases that one can do using pure open web technologies. But it comes as a price. You have to be a little bit more careful when you're using those technologies. So for example, offline storage, which allow you to actually store information when your application is offline, you have to be conscientious of security and privacy considerations. And if you look at our specification, they will list privacy and security consideration that people have to be conscientious when they are using those technologies. So I wouldn't say that the security risk is getting greater. We have to be careful when we are using those technologies.